Alright, welcome to another episode of TCW Behind the Curtain. I had to think what it was called then. I'm Ben and TJ Thunder and Doomslayer and Benny the Ref. And with me is Mike Murphy. We're just going to call you Mike Murphy and the Irish Drag. We won't go with your real name, but everything else is going to be real. Thanks for coming on the show.
No worries. Nice to be here.
I was going to do some pranks on you and just ask you questions that are just all completely silly, but I'll give you real questions. We're here to get to know you, what your backstory, how you feel about TCW run so far, just why you do things you do inside the ring, not all the other ridiculous stuff, because we don't know that. All right, amateur wrestling career.
Yeah.
So you're 38 now. You joined TCW a few years ago. We'll go back a little bit first. So you have this amateur wrestling character.
Yep.
Some say you don't have a character, but what you do is, you look like the part with the outfit you do and some of the moves that you do. So, and you always talk about how great you are at everything. So tell us about your amateur wrestling back when you were in WA. Nobody's ever seen any of this footage. Nobody knows if it actually happened.
Well, my mother's got the medallion for one of my state championships.
So did she win it for you? Did she?
No, she just holds it. She's
Just
a
holds
proud
it.
mother,
Okay.
you know. I started wrestling when I was 16.
Yeah.
For the Fremantle PCYC. When I was about 19, I won my first state championship.
Yeah.
Then won my second one the next year, and just after that I decided to train on my own outside because of what we call, a bunch of us didn't like the political views going on within the clubs.
Yeah.
So a lot of us left and just started doing stuff on our own. So I just started training at home, doing my own thing, still keeping it there. Yeah, I mean, my biggest problem from it is a lot of people don't realise the amount of, torture it basically puts on certain joints and stuff.
So on your neck, doing things.
Neck, my knees are shot from doing a lot of shooting techniques, because when you don't learn how to do it properly at the start, it really bangs them up, and it's not really something, if you don't understand, you can't really fix. And just don't.
Why did you do this? It's not like just playing country footy or cricket, like local cricket. Like why? Like I don't even know if you could do wrestling in Tasmania.
No, you guys used to actually have a team. When I first moved here, I looked into it, and supposedly when I looked into it...
There can't be many people doing it.
No, there was a team, and it closed down 2 years before I looked into it. So you did have one.
So in WA, why did you do it? Were you like, you watched WWE?
I was a big fan of WWE.
And you're like, well, I don't want to do that. I want to do this other thing.
Well, see, I watched WWE. I was a big fan. I was a big fan of people like Undertaker and Triple H and Shawn Michaels and Ken Shamrock. Bret Hart, a lot of the more technical, guys that can do the technical stuff. So that was my style and what I liked. But then, my father was very much against me ever wanting to do anything like that and wanted me to do rugby.
Yeah.
And football.
Is rugby at WA?
It's not really, but my dad just...
They don't have a team in the NRL.
My dad just sees it as more of that's an Australian sport.
Yeah, okay.
Wrestling's not, it's an American.
Yeah.
So then me just being the
You
typical rebellious 15-year-old was basically, right, I'm going to find any wrestling I can, and that's what I'm going to do.
They do have professional wrestling. Oh, you probably...
Not back then. No, back then it was...
16,
see, back then EPW was known as ECWP.
Yeah, okay.
And then they had to change the name, from what I understand, for legality reasons. Yeah. So now it's EPW. But... no, when I started, there was nothing really there. When I used to look at it, it looked like more like a backyard wrestling thing.
Yeah.
So I started looking around and found amateur wrestling, went into that. I was lucky enough to have, hands down, the best coach in the country. Everyone would tell you how good Donald Tucker was.
Yeah.
Come from America, a 2-time NCAA champion. He was also a gymnastics champion. Was a world Bushido champion, so like samurai style.
Yeah.
And he also was from what I understand, a former Marine.
Yeah, okay.
And fought in the Gulf War, so he was very hard. coach.
Yeah. Drill sergeant.
Oh
kind of
yeah,
thing.
very much. That's the way he trained. So I think that's where I sort of got like my attitude. Like if I can still breathe, you just keep going.
Jeez.
That's also from my mother too.
So did you actually enjoy doing it?
To start with, I did, and then as I got more passionate about it, we started having an influx of new students who would automatically go, "I want to do a pedigree. I want to do this," you know. Yeah. And so, my coach was very much like, "Well, School of Hard Knocks, you're going to learn because we're going to punish you, and then you're not going to want to do it again."
Yeah. Okay.
And you know, so then in the end, he was like, "Right, you're the one going to punish him."
Okay. You can't bump on this floor or whatever you're on.
Exactly. So 9 times out of 10, after I'd been there for about a year, it was always put to me. I was the one that had to do the teaching of the lessons because I was also the strongest in the class too.
Yeah. Right.
So
you stopped doing that properly about 19 then? So you're like 16 or 19 is when you won the first thing?
I think I was about 21 when I fully walked away from it completely and just done my own thing with, I think there was probably 2 friends that came with me and we just used to train at home or at one another's home and we just...
You could do some backyard amateur wrestling?
Well, it wasn't so much that. When I say train, I mean it was like more or less like training...
Was it on trampolines? Or?
No. We used to have like small mats we'd brought and they were almost like yoga mats and it was more or less just to practice like the holds and like that's why I think I've just had a natural draw to being able to do holds and do submissions so easily because of that doing that so much for so long even after I quit.
So you're about 21, you quit there, so then obviously it's not until you moved to Tasmania that you joined TCW.
Yes.
So you're 21, then how old are you when you come in? Like
I was
30. I mean,
24. Hold on, no, 25 when I moved here.
Really?
Yes.
Oh, I didn't realise you'd been here for that long.
Yeah. My ex-wife and I, we met, and we were at the time living in Coffs Harbour.
Yeah.
Which is near Port Macquarie in New South Wales. Her family decided they were going to move down. She wanted to follow, so we followed. And that's basically how we got here. We've just been here ever since.
And so what year did you join TCW?
I've been there, I think it would be...
Louder, we've got to make sure it picks up on this.
I think it would be about... I've been there now for about 4.5 years, roughly. I think 4.5 years.
Yeah.
Somehow. I'm pretty sure that's roughly what it is. About 4.5 years. So, what would that be?
Well, October 2019 was the Longford show, so that was probably your first ever...
No, that was my second one. My first one was actually at Chile and it was against Liam Lacey when he was the champion.
So that probably was that year, so it would have been January 2019. So
yeah, and I'd been there probably about 6 months before that.
Yeah, okay.
So what's that about? Yeah, it would have been 2018.
Yeah, roughly. Middle of 2018 maybe.
Yeah.
So, were you attending TCW shows?
No.
You just, like, oh, there's a pro wrestling company, I'm just going to go to it?
No, what it was my now ex-partner at the time said that she could see that I was like basically bored and just going through the motions of life, if you will, and knew that wrestling was my hobby and knew that I was good at it. So she's like, "Well, why don't you try for TCW?"
This kind of sounds like what Eddie Jones was saying, how he's like, then not married yet, then, but it's like, you need to get out of the house, you need to go do something. So it's very reminiscent to that, actually.
Well, there you go. It just must be a commonality, but yeah, that's literally what happened. She said, "Go join that," and then I joined, and I've been there ever since. And to this day, she turns around and goes, "I sometimes regret sending you there."
So you never even like went to a show to like see what the quality was
My
like?
My first show was, I believe it was New Beginning when Liam Lacey won the title off of Eddie Jones.
Yes. Okay. Probably. I don't know. I don't have.
Was it New Beginning or Rise of a Champion? I think it might have been Rise of a Champion.
Maybe. I don't know. I don't know.
But yeah.
I'm not expert at the history. I revisit bits and pieces for the things I do, but
I'm pretty sure it was one of those two shows. It was my first one ever, and so yeah.
So turning up that first day, did you like message the Facebook group, or was there an open day? What was your experience of that first day of training?
Well, originally she said it, my ex-partner set it up for me and messaged them and organised it.
Oh, you're such a pussy.
Oh, it wasn't that. I think it was just because I was working so much. I really didn't get time to do stuff. Like 9 times out of 10, I would just come home.
Yeah.
I was always busy, so she made time for me to be able to go to training. She organised it all. It was almost like a gift type thing. I think it was for my birthday or something. She originally tried to organise it for.
Yeah.
I can't remember, but yeah, she organised it all. I got lost going there.
Yeah, I can imagine people would.
Yeah.
Like, the first time I went there, I'm like, am I going the right way? Then I like looked at Google Maps and said, oh, I think it's down.
Like the Google Maps just says it's right there, and then what you don't realise is you got to go around, and you're like, yeah. So I've like literally called. I'm like, excuse me, where am I?
Yeah.
And they're like, oh, you got.
I think every person's first time there, they've got a call.
So when I first went there, I remember I was part of like the beginning class, which was different to the way it is now. There was probably about 6 or 7 of us in total. There was like me, Dylan Daniels.
Yeah.
Adrian Alexander.
Well, Daniels would have been wrestling on shows at that point. Oh,
No.
maybe just commentary. Like he'd been on shows, because he'd been on shows years ago.
He had, but he was still in training
okay.
at that point. Like I don't know what was up, but he was training with us at that point. And there was a couple others. The others sort of just dropped off, and I think Charlie Rose was with us as well.
Yeah, okay. So what did you do on the first day? Did you do
just
bumps?
lockups? No, it's just lockups.
Yeah.
It was all it was.
So Diablo was in charge at the time, obviously?
Yeah, he was in charge at the time, and I remember like my training for probably the first 3 months, I think it was sort of 50-50 between Diablo and Cyrus Burns.
Yeah, okay.
So which was good because I liked it because that way I got to see two different. Yeah, you know, you weren't just like this is the way you have to do it. It was like you could do it this way, or you can do it that way.
So a lot of that time you would have been just learning moves at a time or some sequence things. Like, what was it like the very first time someone said, like, get in there and just have a match? Just go until you can't do anything. Do you remember that time?
Yeah, I remember that because it was actually with Jackson Parker.
Yeah.
It was the first
So
time.
he would have been there for a while then? So was he...
I probably would have been there about 4 months at that point.
Yeah, okay. How long was he there for? Much, like, had he been on show yet?
He'd been there about 3 years,
okay.
3 or 4 years before me, but or however long it was. But he'd been there a while, and I remember he had just said to me, "Yeah, come on, they want us to have a match." I'm like, "What?
You got to do that at wrestling?"
I'm like, "So what now?" I you know, all I know, and he's like, "Do you know how to do arm drags and all this sort of stuff?" And he said, "Yeah, okay, well, that's what we'll do."
Yeah.
We had a match, and when we finished, he was like, "Well, you did really well." I was like, "Oh, okay, thank you." Like, you know, he's like, "You're really good at the holds and all that." And I'm like, "Yeah."
Just do a match, it's just all holds.
Give me a match of holds, I can do that. But yeah, and that was it. And then I think that's where it just led to me starting to get more comfortable and just getting that confidence to be able to get in the ring with whoever it was.
Yeah.
Because they put me on that spot that one time. I'm like, oh, okay.
Yeah. But if that first time went really bad, then you'd probably like not want to do it again.
Yeah, just like,
but
oh God, what do I do?
It can only go so bad.
Yeah.
So it's not going to be the end of the world, especially if it's your first time. You wouldn't worry too much.
No.
So you're going from there. Let's fast forward to your Chile debut. Then being in there with Liam, I'm sure that was a good help. But you know, you've got your gear. Is this when you had Cyrus's old gear?
Yeah, because mine didn't turn up until 2 days after Skyfire.
Yeah. So did he wear the same gear on the same show?
No, it was his old one before he...
It was like the silver and black or something? Yeah, okay.
It was like a really old one. He was like, oh, here, I've got this spare one you can borrow. I'm like, thank you.
From when he was a lot smaller then?
Yeah.
Yeah.
But yeah, I was grateful because, it, you know, like I said, my stuff turned up 2 days later, even though I express posted.
Yeah.
So, post office.
So you just had the one match that day, just Liam?
Yeah, I just had one match with Liam. From what I'm told, like the story I got told was they seen that Liam and I had sort of like a bit of chemistry because he had always tried to help me off the side when like Eddie Jones or whoever's doing a bit of training or whatever it might be, Liam would pull me off to the side and have words with me and try and help me understand things or try and help me fix things that I'm having trouble with. And they seen that sort of chemistry, and so I'm told, and they're like, right, well, we're going to put you two together because we think you can probably get the best out of him than anyone else.
So they told you, oh, you're going to have a match with Liam at Chile Skyfire. What did you think then? Do you think I'm not ready for this? I don't want to do this. I was like, yeah, let's do it.
To be honest, for the first 5 seconds, I'm like, crap, damn it. But then, like pretty much after that, I just remember thinking, this is going to be great.
Yeah.
This is like how could I get a better person to learn from? really, like to really help me. And so I remember when we came up with the match, we went away. Next week, he just turns up and goes, "I've got the match."
Yeah.
In his head, I'm like, "What?" He's like, "I've just come up with it." And
yeah, that's lame.
That was it. That was it. He's just like, "Here's the match." We practiced it, and I think the hardest thing was just trying to figure out that finish.
Yeah. So what was the finish of the match?
Pump handle neck breaker.
Yeah, okay.
Because I'd never taken anything like that before. Yeah. And he's like,
it's just a limb.
Yeah, but the thing was, like, I didn't know that. I've
Yeah.
never seen the move before. I'm like, what the hell?
Yeah.
So he's like, "Oh, just come here." And I'm like, "Oh, okay. That's cool."
So when you like the tent or whatever it was before you go out there, were you absolutely shooting yourself or?
Surprisingly, I was actually more calm then than I was at New Dawn.
Yeah. Was there anybody even watching at Chile at that time?
Was
there
packed.
Yeah.
I mean, I swear there was more people there than there was at New Dawn. Like, you know, the big concrete steps, they were filled with people.
Yeah.
And then the whole, around the barriers, around the ring, it was full of people, like 10 big.
But you're just like completely fine. And
was
it
fine.
went all right then? You
Yeah.
were happy with it for where you were at that stage?
At the time, I was happy with it, but when I look back at it, I sometimes, not that I regret anything, it's just I sort of dislike the fact that I lacked selling, like the selling that I do now.
Yeah.
Or the character that I was showing when that I would show. There was none of that there because I was just so focused on, okay.
Just a person, just...
Okay, don't screw anything up. I just want this to go perfect. Like, I don't want to forget a thing. And we didn't. It was flawless.
Yeah.
But it just took so much out of my brain, and I just forgot selling everything else.
It's just everything on the outside.
Yeah.
Like you did all the spots, but not anything that goes with the spots.
I tried to sell a little bit, but it was just not to the level it should have been.
Yeah, okay.
But Liam is extremely happy with what we've done. Every time we've spoken about it, he's like, "I love it. It's something I'm very proud of." And I'm like, "Wow." Yeah. He's very proud of that match. I was like happy to be a part of it.
So going from there, you had the couple matches at Longford.
Yes.
Did you feel that you'd developed a lot between January and October of that year?
Yes, actually, because I remember getting ready for Longford. From that point on, knowing that I was having a match with Zach Archer, because we knew, instead of being a couple of weeks off, we knew, I think it was about a couple of months, it might have been 2 months ahead. I knew I was going to end up with a match with Zach Archer. Zach and I were extremely elated because originally it was just meant to be he and I one-on-one.
Yeah.
And we had all these really cool ideas that we wanted to do. And then they put Jackson in it, and so we came up with more cool ideas. And then some of the original ideas we wanted out the window.
Yeah.
And it could have been because one, we didn't want to do it, or because someone didn't want to do it,
It just
or we
didn't
just
make
couldn't do
sense
it.
with a third person there.
Yeah, or someone didn't feel comfortable taking something that was in there.
Yeah.
It could have been anything. And so when we led up to that, Zach started helping me a lot more with making the moves a bit crisper and designing them to flow better.
Yeah.
So, which he's really good at.
So going from Chile and the Longford show, then we get that, we see that matchup graphic of the two silhouettes. It's my cat's rolling around in a beanie, covered in cat hair. So Doomslayer versus Mike Murphy, A New Dawn. Two complete new characters to everybody. So I don't know if that was the best idea. It's just put two people out there cold that they're not a proper TCW crowd isn't familiar with.
But I think it worked really well because the way we had designed that part of the card, it really let people see two new people, but it was in such a way that both people were going to go over it. They were both getting over in some way or another.
So he's this new Doomslayer bad guy. He does his bit and runs away.
Yeah.
And then the good guy stays on to fight against Eddie Jones.
Yeah.
And the crowd definitely got behind Mike Murphy.
Yeah. I mean, I still remember, sometimes I'd watch it back and you can hear that one voice first.
Yeah, Papa Burns, I think.
Papa Burns. Go, Mike Murphy! Don't let him up!
So he's sitting right behind the camera so you can hear his voice.
And the funny thing is, the crowd got behind me, but it was just as always, Papa Burns has so much faith in all the TCW talent. And he always believes so much in everyone, no matter, he will give you all the faith in the world.
Yeah. Yeah, but he doesn't have to get in there and do it. It's easy for him to say.
Trust me, but I remember before I went out at New Dawn, I was there and I'm like, at one point I'm literally going, I can't go out, I can't go out, I can't go out, I can't do this, I can't.
That's what I was saying. I was like, it's like I'm literally getting, it's like I'm getting pushed out of a plane here.
Yeah.
And I'm like, I don't want to do it now. I don't. But like, Charlie's standing there, Cyrus Burns is standing there. I'm like, they go, you okay? I'm like, nah. It's like, look at the mask. It's like, can't see. It's like, oh, I think I'm going to spew up on this thing. I don't. I do not want to do this right now.
I know the feeling. I remember Les standing there. I swear it was Alexander. I'm standing there and he's like, you'll be fine. Yeah. And just pushed me out. I'm like, oh, okay. Too late, I'm out there.
Did we even know whose music was going to hit first? I think we were even unsure. It's like, who's going? Is that? I guess we're just waiting. Okay.
Yeah, we're just waiting because like they weren't sure. I mean, everyone was saying we should do it this way, we should do it that way.
It didn't matter overall.
It didn't really matter, but I know that it was like a last minute decision from what I understand.
Yeah, it's whichever order just put in first without any thought to it, maybe.
Yeah.
So, it's already in that order, so let's just do that, maybe.
Yeah.
So obviously you're a bit nervous about that one, but like we had our 6 months of lockdown or whatever.
Yeah.
Training had shut down. Then, like between those shows of February to not another show until October, where we debut, they were probably both at our fittest we've ever been for.
Yeah, tell me about
anything. With all our weight training that we did together.
Yeah.
And running
within the COVID standards.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, I remember being there and, you know, sweating like there's no tomorrow.
Yeah.
But like I used to say to people, like before training with you, I didn't have the ability to push myself. And that was one thing I learned from you, was to push myself to get to where I needed to be.
Yeah.
And then you making me go for those damn runs.
Yeah, we didn't run that far. Just run up the hill and then come back and do legs.
That
that
Coca-Cola Hill run sucked.
It's called Ravenswood Road, mate, not Coca-Cola Hill.
I don't care. That road sucked.
Yeah, and the one to Waverley Woollen Mills and back, just down there as well.
Yeah, that one, yeah. But I have to admit, I probably hated those more than the park run.
Yeah. Well,
the 5K run, I'd much rather do.
Yeah. Especially when you go the wrong way, you get lost.
Oh, okay. Yeah, you turn a 5K run into nearly 6.
But I would insert footage from the matches and stuff. But like you go from like Chile Skyfire 2019 to then 2020. Sorry.
No, it was 2019.
No, the one where you wrestled against Alexander and Cyrus.
Oh yeah.
Like you look at the video of like your physique between January to October. And like your hair's like neater and everything. Like you just look like a different person.
Yeah, I mean, I remember
and it's all thanks to me.
Yeah, and the funny thing is, I don't know if you remember this. I remember it still. That first training session back from COVID lockdown, we walked in.
Wrestling training, or because we were doing some fitness stuff at the park.
I remember like no one could really tell because remember it was at night.
Yeah.
I remember the first time we walked into the TCW, warehouse. And at one point, there was like a couple of people there, and they just turned around and said, who the hell is this?
I think Archer might have said something to you.
Yeah, I think it must have been Archer. And he's just like, who the hell is this? And you're like, it's Dragon. And he's like, what the hell did you do with him?
He had a makeover.
Yeah. But yeah, like I still look at it now. Like someone I know did a still side by side of Liam Lacey. Skyfire till I think it was probably about 2 weeks out from New Dawn.
Yeah.
And I literally look almost twice the size. You could see definition, the shoulders, about everything. I just looked.
Yeah, I can't remember what you looked like from their very first match. I just think of the Chile of 2020.
Oh yeah, I remember
because
when
it was the first show that I refed on. So
yeah, you necked yourself.
Yeah, it could have been the end of my career as well. Yeah, if only I knew how to get out of a ring properly. Get thrown out.
I think that's actually what made us start learning how to get out, if you remember.
Yeah, it might have been. It's like, you know, to get, yeah, sure, it'll be fine. Alright, so it's been a couple years nearly. Well, we're coming up on nearly 2 years since New Dawn. You haven't been on too many shows, but how do you feel about the matches that you have had? Like overall, and then we'll sort of like zoom in a little bit on something.
I feel like when I look at all the matches, they all have something different about them.
Yeah.
Like, I feel like the New Dawn was more just about everyone getting over.
Yeah.
Retaliation, I showed I can go 20 minutes.
Yeah.
And not have a problem. Like, I remember going back after that and everyone's like, how you feel, tired? Nah, give me another 10 minutes, I'll go back out there, mate.
Yeah.
I'm fine.
Like, that's a longer match than I've ever had. You did that on your second proper show.
Yeah.
Was it over 20 minutes?
It
doesn't have the match time here.
It was, I looked at it, it was 24 minutes 31, I think, including entrances.
Yeah.
So if you take entrances, it was
Alexander's idea, was it?
I'm
a test
not going to blame
result.
Alexander, but he had certain moves he wanted to get across for me.
Yeah, okay.
And, you know, and then he had certain moves he knew I could do really well with him. Like, the one thing it was my idea to do the satellite DDT because we done that at Skyfire and I was like, that was horrible, let's do it better.
The horrible one was still better than the one I did with him. just drop him on his neck.
Well, he's a very hard person to phase, I've noticed.
Yeah.
But and then what was it after Alexander? I think it was the chain one.
Here's your matches here. After Alexander, then we've got the over the top shows. They had the Rumble and our second match where I bet you when I knocked you out with the chain. That was like a last minute match as well because
that was. We had like I think 4 days to come up with that.
I think it was on the Wednesday. We got told about it coming on the Saturday.
Yeah. That's when it was like 4 or 5 days, if that. Yeah.
Because all the Katie Lux Scarlet Cruises matches kept getting cancelled because of COVID lockdowns in Melbourne. Yeah. So it's like, oh, okay, we need another match. You guys are on the match. You're winning. Figure it out.
Yeah. So, that was exactly what happened. We're like, Jesus.
Yeah. And that was like 7 o'clock, and I'm getting ready to leave training. It's like, no, come up with something really quick.
Yeah.
All right, we'll talk online. We'll figure it out.
Yeah, I think it was like I think the biggest problem we had was we were just trying to figure out a way for a finish that didn't bury.
Yeah, it's like I've got to cheat to win this one. Then.
Yeah, because if you won clean, it wouldn't do anything for you.
And then there's like it doesn't set up anything for future as well for a decider. Like we still haven't got to a decider.
No, we'll get there one day.
There's a no contest and there's a win each.
Yeah, so
we're both good guys now, so you don't know when that'll. Yeah. Okay, Annie, you want to come over?
But yeah, and then so that one I had a lot more about trying to. I was more focusing on just trying to move better and.
You took the chain punch really good. It's like.
Everyone tells me that, but like
it looks so good.
Everyone told me they thought that you actually hit me. And I remember that day telling you, don't care, just hit me, just hit me. I don't care if you hit me with the chain, just do it. And you're like, no. But then with the Dominic Knight match, I specifically had it in my head. I wanted to sell better, and do more character, and
he's got a lot of big moves, so it should be easy to sell him. It's like take a black hole slam, take a choke slam, take a. Did you get a choke slam?
Nah, it was
full Nelson.
Full Nelson slam, black hole slam, and a scoop slam.
Yeah.
And then the Claymore, which I still loved how good that Claymore looked.
Yeah.
Especially when you see, I've noticed.
There's a lot of good camera angles for all these Claymores, I think.
Yeah, like the one on the actual TCW Demand.
Yeah.
That the angle they used on that was really good.
Yeah. So those are some of your highlights. What are the lowlights then? We'll talk about the Adrian Alexander punches.
Oh my god, yes.
That's just going to be on loop this entire podcast in the corner, just so people just watch it the whole time.
I felt really bad because like I had a gut feeling that it wasn't going to look good.
Yeah.
Because me being my size, I shouldn't be doing like I have in my head I shouldn't do rubber punches. I should be doing like the big haymakers and big forearms, like the little punches I just feel don't suit me anyway.
Yeah.
So like when I look back, like when we debuted, I never at any point gave you little rabbit punches.
No.
They were all big throws.
Yeah, big ones in the corner and stuff.
Even when you're on the ground, I looked in front and bang. You know, it was really big. And I think it was Liam who said to me, don't do little ones anymore. And then I was like, okay. He goes, that was terrible. I was like, thanks, Liam. And then that's when I was like, yep, I don't care who I'm facing. I'm never rabbit punching ever again.
What about like any botches, like anything that's just like any moments of panic where you've just completely forgotten what you're doing?
I honestly don't think I have.
Like you're laying down, it's like, what's the next bit? Oh my god, I can't remember anything.
I actually can't. No, I literally.
What about if like you're covered in sunscreen, you get real sweaty, and then somebody throws water on you, and it's really hard to pick somebody up? Have you ever had a moment like that?
Yeah. See, I don't really consider that so much as a botch because I feel like we covered that really well.
Yeah, it wasn't so much of a throw; it was just like a. You landed.
I think that
I still sold it as if it.
You did, and the thing that killed me when I looked at it is the fact that you can actually tell it exhausted me because I'm literally having to carry you in my arms across to the return.
But I'm like sliding off at the same time.
Yeah. So I'm like having to use every bit of strength, every bit of endurance I've got just to hold you so I can look half decent. I remember someone, I think it might have been Liam, who looked at it and turned around and goes, "You guys did really well covering that. That still looked good." So. But that's the only time. Like other than that, I'm actually happy to say that I've not had any. I can't say much because I haven't had that many matches, but as much as I've had, I've never had. Actually, no, I did. I had one botch.
Yeah.
One botch, and it was in the Alexander match.
Yeah, what was it?
He puts his back to me up against the rope, and he goes, "Triple H knee," and I said, "No."
Oh yeah, you both go for a clothesline.
No, I said, "I'll throw a line, duck, then Triple H knee." Turns out he didn't hear me, so he's just run. I've just gone straight in the top of the forehead, and I'm like, "Oh damn!"
Yeah, sorry about that.
Yeah, that's the only time I've stuffed anything up. Which, I feel like that is my fault because I obviously didn't communicate it good enough for him to hear me. So yeah.
So not too bad of a run then.
No,
we both just should never wrestle against Adrian Alexander.
I'm very proud to say I've never injured anyone.
Yeah.
So.
Have you ever been like head butted, taking arm drags, and like cut open at training?
Yeah. It didn't really faze me too much. It fazed
the other guy. For like the next 2 days, he had a headache.
Yeah, I just remember going home and put a bit of a band-aid on it, and I watched my kids.
It was like one of the first times one of my not even back, but like one of my first sessions where I was like doing moves.
That's right. Yeah.
I was like, okay, we're doing arm drag. It was probably like the first day I did arm drags.
Yeah,
because maybe it was second.
No, it was the second one because I remember what happened was I was running in to take the last one, and you ran in, which is you ran in. You're meant to run in, move in a bit, but as you did, you put your head down, which you're not meant to do, and so we just went bang, clanked heads together. I'm like,
I'm sure I've done it since then as well to somebody. Not as disastrous results though. And he's just laying there, just like, "You're alright?" Because there's blood just running down your head.
I'm just sitting outside there. Like I remember Cyrus Burns and a couple of others were standing there. They're like, "You're bleeding." I'm like, "No, I'm not." They're like, "You're bleeding," and I'm arguing. I'm like, "No, I'm not." And I can feel the warmth. I'm like, "Son of a, I'm bleeding." And I look back and there's you just like,
"Oops." Next question: is there anybody from the past or present of TCW that you'd really like to have a match on a show with, like that you just haven't wrestled with yet?
I'd have to say I have a list of probably 3 or 4 in my head I'd really like to have matches with.
People that are currently there, or
no, or like some of the current, like for instance, I'd love to have another match with Liam.
Yeah.
I'd love to have a one-on-one with Archer. Those two. Another one would be Elliot Grayson.
Yeah.
And a fourth one for us. I feel like those ones are ones that would, now where I am, I could do so much better. And it could, I reckon, any one of those would get so over. I mean, the Liam Lacey and Archer one, they'd get over anyway because they'd probably carry me.
Yeah, have a Liam Lacey wrestling championship match.
Yeah. So, and then there's one that's he visits, and that's Zeke Endino. I'd love to have a match against him.
Yeah.
And he's even said he'd like to have one with me because of that sort of grappling style that I do. You know, I might not be able to move as good as I used to. But
you won't be doing the flips like him, probably.
No.
You can try.
No, but like the submissions and stuff like that I do, you know, I feel I don't need to be the fastest mover. I don't need to be the most agile to do it.
Well, you cut them off and stop them from doing their flips and stuff. So.
Yeah.
Like with Grayson as well. So
yeah, exactly.
The more agile, quick people, it'd be your job to stop that.
Yeah, because like I'm bigger than all of them.
You'd have to be a bad guy for that.
Oh,
probably.
I don't think that'd be too hard.
Yeah. So what are these short-term goals? Like, look at like the next 6 to 12 months. What kind of thing do you want to do in TCW? Obviously, get on a show again.
I'm doing a lot of thinking about like character redevelopment and stuff like that, and trying to figure out how to essentially evolve myself for the future. That's what I'm looking at in that way. Try and get back more of the fitness I had, say, like New Dawn retaliation, because I've lost a bit of it due to a lot of injuries and shit that has happened in the past over the last, say, 6 to 12 months.
Just working too late, inconsistent, not being able to get to training.
All that sort of stuff. Like, ever since Christmas, I've been doing, 10, 12 and a half hour days, and a lot of times by the time you do that, you get to training, you do your wrestling training, you get home, you can't do anything else.
Yeah.
So a lot of my weight training and fitness has suffered a lot because of that. So hopefully in the next 6 months or so, it should start to come back together.
So going a little bit further, a bit more longer term, like the next 5 years, you're going to be like 43. Do you think you'd still be wrestling at that stage? You'd like to be still able to? Do you think your body will be there still to be able to physically do it?
With the help I've been having, and when I say help, like from yourself, from my workplace, who allows me to go see a soft tissue chiropractor whenever I need to, even if it's wrestling related, to make sure I can continue to work.
Yeah.
They're very nice and allow me to do that if I need to, which luckily lately I haven't, but had other issues. With all that, I'd like to see myself still being able to wrestle at that point. I think I still can. As I've had a lot of, I guess you call it like longevity advice from certain people within TCW that I've asked. They just say to me, when you get to that point, you just have to redesign the way you wrestle.
So what would you like to see for Mike Murphy in the next 5 years? What do you think Mike Murphy should be doing, character-wise?
My goal in the long term, because I started doing this for fun, I've gone to the point now where I do this because I want my kids to learn that when people tell you you can't do something, to basically shove it down their throat and say, watch me do it.
Don't believe me, just watch.
Exactly.
Yes.
So
here's my highlight reel on YouTube, bitch.
So my drive now is basically to win a championship before I have to stop.
Yeah.
And that's it, because I want my kids to basically, my kids are proud of me already, so they think, my kids always tell me I'm number one, I'm the coolest and all sorts of stuff, and they're so proud of me and what I do. But now it's like I just want them to learn that when people tell you you can't do it,
you can. Yeah. They're just sort of having that record, like, look, we've got a cage match here open. It's like, all these things, these are things that you did. And it's like, it's just words on a screen, but if you've got the video as well, it's something that you can...
See, this alone already proves my point, because people, when I was like, 15 all the way up to 26, always told me I could not be a wrestler. Yes, wrestler, but I couldn't do this wrestling because I wasn't good enough.
Yeah, I had people tell me that as well. They were like, say to my mum, like, you tell her now, like, tell her to buy a ticket. Your friends from work, or my uncle, or like people that's like, oh, you're too small. Like, when you're like 16, it's like, I'm 16. Of course, I'm too small.
Exactly.
And there was no wrestling here at the time.
Yeah. So, but that's what I mean. Like, I had to, throughout my life, to a massive point. I even had my now ex-partner telling me, just give up.
You got to talk louder.
I had my ex-partner telling me that I should just give up and just quit, because she sees it as, she has a negative view on the way that I'm seen within TCW.
Yeah. And
she thinks that all I'm ever going to be, and I hate to say it, is a jobber. She thinks that's all I'm ever going to be good as, and that's all they're going to see me as.
Well, I'll put you over. Well, I've done it once, so I don't know if I'll do it again.
But that's my point. Like,
it won't be my choice next time. That was our decision.
Yeah, it was.
Do it.
I was happy to put you over again. You're like, no, you're going over. Yeah. I was like, okay, cool, thank you.
I can't win the feud on a show that nobody's paid to see. So.
Yeah, but that's my point. It's like she just sees, she has a very, very negative view of the way they see me, and recently, after talking to certain people that matter in TCW, I realised that's not the point. That's not the view. They need me to be where I need to be to utilise me, and that's fair. I understand that. Well,
this is the kind of questions that like end the show, but I've got like, well, Irish Dragon, how'd that come about? Got a bit more of a fun question. Like, I know the answer to this, but...
Bloody Grady.
Who's Grady?
Oh, sorry. Bloody...
Aaron Lynch.
Yeah, Aaron Lynch. When we debuted, he went up and spoke to Dylan Daniels and told him to call me Irish Dragon, because he knew that we had planned a different moniker for me. But he called me Irish Dragon all the time because of my Irish background within my family. And I remember after the show had finished, I walked up to Dylan Daniels and I said to him, "Who told you to call me Irish Dragon?" He goes, "Oh."
Because Daniels was on commentary.
Yeah. And he's like, someone? I yelled his name out really loud and all I heard was, and he ran away. Where'd he go? But yeah, it was all his fault because Liam helped me the most with my character, and we had originally had a different moniker in mind.
Yeah. So, Irish Dragon. Hold on, where's it going? But you've got a bit of use. Like, do you regret that though? Like, I think the Irish Dragon thing.
I mean,
it's not like win loss has made a difference. It's just like it's your character. People like, for better or for worse, Irish Dragon is a thing that's you. And you got Imagine Dragons, probably one of the worst bands in the last 35 years.
Tell me about it.
It's your entrance song.
I mean, it went with the character we originally envisioned. It went perfectly with it. It's just not the music I listen to.
Yeah.
I don't feel that music. It's not me. I mean, my music.
Yeah, and that's even worse, I think. So, Mike Murphy, Mick Murphy, what's your bloody name? I remember at New Dawn there was some confusion. Have you actually been billed as Mick Murphy on some of the Chili and the Longford shows?
It was Mick Murphy against Liam Lacey.
Yeah, okay.
And then
again, why was there ever confusion? Like, what happened?
Because I believe myself and Cyrus Burns knew it as Mick Murphy.
Yeah.
Which I originally chose that name because it was my grandfather's. My grandfather's known as Mick Murphy, not Mike Murphy. Yeah. So it was Mick.
So Murphy is an actual surname in the family?
Yeah.
Okay.
It's on my mother's side.
Yeah, okay.
So, my grandfather's name was Michael John Murphy, and he was always known as Mick Murphy.
Yeah, okay.
So, that was the name I chose. And I think it was just after the Skyfire versus Alexander and Cyrus. Yeah. They were like, "Is it Mick or Mike?" And I'm like, "It's Mick. Why?" And
so we've written it down as Mike or something.
Yeah, and I remember, I think it was, it was it, and it was Dylan Daniels who I had a conversation with, and he just turned around and goes, "Nah, it's Mike." I went, "What?" He goes, "It's Mike."
It flows a little bit better.
I went, "Why is that?" He goes, "It just sounds more professional." I'm like, "Fine, I'll do what you want. It's Mike." And that's just how it got changed.
Mick is more of like he's got to have like a hat, cowboy hat on or whatever. Yeah, I'm Mick.
Yeah.
Copper. That's all the questions I've got. Is there anything you want to talk about? Is there any of these matches that you want to speak on? You had the Grayson match at Summer Beats. We had our third match. Over the top Rumble, that was pretty fun.
That was
22-person Rumble match.
I felt like we did some good stuff in that got cut out.
Oh, just on the camera angles.
Yeah.
The entrance is like, I guess you don't get to see your finisher move.
Because I remember when you seen the edit, the cut version, you just sent me this message, and you're like, "Your move's gone. Your move's gone." I'm like, "What are you talking about?"
As soon as the fisherman suplexes hit, and it cuts to Grayson or somebody on the outside.
It was Grayson coming out from underneath the ring, and you're just like, "What the hell?"
So I've never taken it.
Yeah, according to...
That's all right. I think more people go to the shows than watch on demand or buy DVDs, so I think you'll be safe.
Yeah, I think
more people have seen it that way in person. Yeah. Still a couple hundred people there.
Well, they still haven't actually seen the finisher, remember?
Yeah, as a finisher.
Yeah.
You had the Alexander match. What about the Eddie Jones match? So I talked about it on the first solo episode, but when you found out that we had our no contest, and then you're going to stay in and wrestle however long with Eddie Jones afterwards,
I will shit myself.
Like you're fine with our bit, and then the rest.
Because all of a sudden, like once it clicked in, I'm like, "You're an idiot. You have 2 matches to memorize now." It's like I know it's like when I look at it, it's like, no, you just have 1 match. But then at that point, I'm like, no, you have 2 matches. You have 2. You have to remember 2 lots of stuff. Which, you know, once again,
it was fine in the end.
Eddie Jones did an amazing job. I feel like he got me over.
An all-time carry job.
Yeah, I actually do feel like he did. He carried me. You know, people tell me he'd done his part and I'd done my part, but I still feel like he carried me.
Oh, he's been there he's been there from day 0, so and it was your first night on the show, so I don't think you'd feel too bad about that.
I mean, like I remember afterwards, I think it was him who turned around and said, "No, you pulled your own weight," but I still feel like I didn't.
Yeah.
So.
All right. Well, we've gone through all the questions and we've added on some extras. But nothing. All right, I've got nothing else. Questions from the audience? Annie, do you have anything to say? She looked at me. That's the cat. Now, I don't know. I don't think that's a proper question. All right. Well, thanks for coming on the show and spilling your guts and having a good old chat about Mike Murphy.
No worries.
All right. Well, hopefully we can see you on a show soon.
Yeah.
And we'll see the dragon roar, breathe fire. We'll hear him roar and see him breathe fire.
Maybe I should do that as an entrance, do fire spitting.
Yeah, he's got to have that cape thing.
Oh no.
All right. See you later.